The sun burned like fire over the dusty colony. Wind pushed fine sand across the metal roads. Most people stayed inside their shelters. But Ray was out, his boots crunching over dry dirt, carrying parts for a broken generator. He worked alone, near the edge of the colony where the buildings were fewer and the junk piles rose like old mountains. That's when he heard it. A soft, shaky sound. It wasn't the wind. It was a cry. Very small. Weak. Not human. Ray stopped and turned. The sound came again, from behind a heap of broken cargo boxes and metal panels. He walked toward it slowly, careful not to make noise. He crouched low and peeked around the corner, and what he saw made him freeze. An alien woman sat on the ground, half covered in a torn cloth. Her skin was pale purple, her body thin, too thin. Her eyes were wide and tired. In her arms, a small, alien baby barely moved, lips cracked and dry. Ray's heart dropped. The woman looked up fast, afraid. She held her baby closer and pulled back. "Please. No hurt," she whispered, her voice rough and broken. "I'm not here to hurt you," Ray said calmly. He slowly raised both hands. "I heard crying. I was just checking." The woman didn't answer. Her eyes stayed on his hands. She was scared, more than scared. She looked like someone who had not eaten in days. Ray took a small step closer. The baby let out another dry cry, more like a soft squeak. It wasn't loud anymore. "Is your baby sick?" he asked. "No food," the woman said. "No milk?" "Many days." Ray reached into his bag and pulled out a protein bar and a water flask. He placed them gently on the ground and stepped back. "Here," he said. "For you. And the baby." The woman stared. Her hands shook as she reached for the food. She didn't eat right away. She looked at him again, her eyes filled with tears, and then at the baby. She unwrapped the protein bar with trembling fingers, broke it into small pieces and tried to feed her child first. The baby barely moved at first, but after a few seconds it started sucking slowly on the soft crumbs. That's when the woman broke down. Tears rolled down her face. She covered her mouth to stop the sounds from coming out, but her shoulders shook. She cried without making a noise. Ray looked away, giving her a little space, but inside his chest felt heavy. After a while, she spoke. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You are human?" Ray nodded. "Yes, name's Ray. I work on machines, live alone." She looked at him with soft eyes. I am Sarah, widow. No one help, baby, was born after war. My husband died." Ray sat down on a metal box nearby. "There's a shelter," he said. "Why didn't you go there?" She shook her head. "Only for citizens. I am outsider. They say, go away." He clenched his jaw. The rules were clear. No aid to unregistered aliens. Many colonists believed aliens were dangerous, dirty, or lazy. But Ray didn't care about all that. He looked at the tiny baby again, still trying to eat, its eyes dull and half shut. "Do you have a place to stay?" he asked. "No," she whispered. "We sleep in scrap. Move at night." Ray stood up. He looked toward his small cargo shelter across the hill. It wasn't much, but it had clean water, canned food, and a med kit. "You can come with me," he said, "just for today, for the baby." Sarah blinked, not sure if she heard right. "You mean it?" "Yes," Ray said, "but we must move before patrols come. If they see you—" "I will hide," she said quickly. "I will not bring trouble." Ray picked up the bag and helped her stand. She was so light it scared him. Together they started walking toward the hill. Behind them, the wind blew harder, erasing the tracks in the dust. But that soft cry, the one that led Ray there, still echoed in his ears. And in that moment, he knew. Something had changed. This wasn't just about kindness. This was the start of something much bigger. Ray's small cargo shelter was quiet. The door closed behind him with a soft hiss, locking out the dusty wind. Inside, Sarah stood still, holding her baby close like the child might vanish if she let go. She looked around nervously. The room was small, filled with tools, wires, and old metal parts. There was only one chair and a single bed pushed against the wall. But to Sarah, it looked like a palace. Ray opened a box near the corner and pulled out a thermal blanket. He placed it gently on the bed. "You and your baby can rest here," he said softly. "I'll sleep on the floor tonight." Sarah blinked, shocked by the kindness. "No," she whispered. "I will stay on the floor." Ray shook his head. "Your baby needs warmth." No more arguments. He walked to the food locker and brought out a sealed meal pack. Steam hissed as it opened. The smell of cooked stew filled the air. Sarah's eyes widened, but she didn't move. "Sit," Ray said. "You need this more than me." With shaking hands, Sarah obeyed. She sat slowly, careful not to wake the baby now asleep in her arms. She took the first bite, then stopped. Tears fell again. Ray sat across from her on the floor and waited. He didn't speak. He didn't push. He just watched, silent and calm. After a few minutes, Sarah looked up at him. "You want to know?" she asked. Ray nodded once. "If you want to tell me." She breathed in slowly. Her voice came out like dust, dry and soft. "We lived in a village. Far beyond the mountains, my people were traders. My husband, Karen, he was strong. He built homes with his hands. Everyone respected him." She smiled faintly, remembering. "When the border war came, they took him. Said we had to fight. Protect the trade lines. He went. Never came back." Her fingers tightened around the sleeping baby. "I was left with nothing. His family pushed me out. Said I was a mouth they couldn't feed. My child had just been born. No food, no roof." Ray frowned. "Why didn't you go to the central colonies?" "I tried," she said. "They made rules. They said only citizens may enter. I was not citizen, I begged. They said, 'Go away before we call patrols.'" She wiped her eyes with the edge of her sleeve. "I walked for many nights, hid in junk fields. Some gave me crumbs. Most looked away. Once a man threw fire dust at me, said I was diseased." Ray's hands tightened into fists. "And the baby?" he asked. "He cried all night, then stopped crying. That's when I got scared. A baby who stops crying." She paused. "That is a baby close to death." Ray stood up and walked to the corner. He opened a drawer and pulled out a small bottle of vitamin drops and a hydration gel. He handed them to her. "Give this to him. It'll help him recover slowly." Sarah took them, amazed. She fed the baby gently, drop by drop. Ray looked at them both for a long time. "How old is he?" he asked. "2 cycles. Not yet named." Ray blinked. "You didn't give him a name?" "In my culture, a child is named after surviving the 3rd cycle. It is bad luck to name too soon." Ray nodded. "He'll survive now." Sarah looked at him, unsure. "You don't fear helping me?" Ray sighed. "I know the rules. I just don't agree with them. What good is law if it kills?" "Mercy," she didn't reply, but her eyes softened. Suddenly a sharp beep came from the wall. Ray turned fast and checked the screen. A patrol drone had passed nearby. Not close yet, but scanning. He looked at Sarah. "You have to stay quiet. If they see you, they'll take the baby. Maybe worse." She nodded. "I will not speak. I will not be seen." Ray moved to the door, locked it tight. He then turned to Sarah. "You'll be safe here," he said, "but only for a little while. They might come closer tomorrow. We need a real plan." Sarah looked down at her child, now breathing softly. "I have nothing left," she whispered. "But if you give me time, I will repay your kindness, I promise." Ray didn't smile. He simply nodded once. Outside, the wind screamed across the empty dust fields. But inside the small shelter, for the first time in weeks, a mother and child felt warmth, and in Ray's heart, Something had changed. This wasn't just charity. This was family now. The next morning, Ray woke up to silence. No machines buzzing, no alerts blinking, just stillness. He sat up from the floor, his back aching from the hard metal tiles. But the ache faded when he looked at the bed. Sarah lay curled with her baby under the blanket. The child, wrapped tight, was breathing gently. His tiny chest rose and fell like a soft rhythm, peaceful, alive. Ray didn't want to wake them, so he moved quietly to the window and checked the sensor logs. His breath caught. A patrol drone had passed nearby during the night. Too close. He tapped a few buttons. The map flickered. Drones were sweeping this area more than usual. Maybe someone reported strange movement near the junk fields. Maybe someone saw them. Ray cursed under his breath. Suddenly, a soft voice behind him broke the silence. "They are coming?" Ray turned. Sarah was awake, sitting up with worry in her eyes. "Not yet," he said. "But they're close, too close." Sarah held her baby tighter. "I will leave," she said. "If they catch me here, you will be punished." Ray shook his head. "No. If you go out there now, they'll find you within minutes. You'll have no chance." "I cannot risk your life," she whispered. Ray moved closer. "Look, we're not safe out in the open, but there's a place I know, an old ventilation tunnel system under the scrapyard. It's not used anymore. If we hide there during scans, they won't find us." Sarah looked unsure. Ray continued, "You stay here for now. Tonight, when it's dark, I'll take you and the baby there. I'll bring food and supplies." She hesitated, then gave a slow nod. Hours passed. Ray spent the day acting normal, fixing machines, checking the cooling systems, talking to colony workers as if nothing was wrong. But inside, he was on edge. Every patrol ship overhead made his heart pound. By the time the sun started to fall, his plan was ready. That night, he returned to his shelter. Sarah was feeding the baby the last of the nutrient gel. The child's eyes were more alert now. His hands moved slightly, trying to grab the bottle. Ray smiled. "He's stronger already." Sarah nodded, with pride. "Your help? It saved him." "No," Ray said gently. "You saved him. You didn't give up." He handed her a small bag. "Put what you need in here. We leave in 10 minutes. She packed quickly. A blanket, baby cloth, some gel, and one soft cloth with faded designs, probably from her home. A memory. Ray opened. The door checked the scanner. It was clear. Let's move. They stepped out into the night. The stars above were cold and distant. The wind had calmed, but danger still hung in the air. Ray took them through back paths. He knew which walls had blind spots. He avoided lights. He even timed his steps with passing cargo haulers to mask their movement. At last, they reached the old scrapyard wall, rusted, forgotten. Ray pushed aside a sheet of metal. Behind it, a hatch. "This way," he said. He climbed down first, then helped Sarah and the baby. Inside, it was dark and damp, but it was safe. The air smelled of old oil and time, but no cameras, no sensors. "This tunnel leads to many places, under the colony," Ray explained. "Most people forgot it even exists. I used it to hide spare parts during raids." Sarah sat on a crate and looked around. "You are not like other humans." Ray raised an eyebrow. "That a compliment?" She gave a small smile. "The others, they fear us, or hate us. But you protect." Ray sat beside her. "I don't care about species. I care about people." She looked down at her child, now sleeping again. "He still has no name. I thought he would die without one." Ray glanced at the baby, then at her. "Then name him now," he said softly. "He's earned it." She paused, thinking, then said, "Kale. It means light in the dark in my language." Ray nodded. "A good name." Suddenly, a faint sound echoed through the tunnel. Distant footsteps. Ray's head snapped up. Shh, he whispered. Someone's here. Pulled Sarah gently behind an old vent grill. The baby stirred, but she held him close. The steps came closer, then stopped. Silence. Then the voice of a patrol officer echoed faintly. This tunnel's useless, just rats and junk. Let's move to the next zone. Their lights faded. The sound disappeared. Ray let out a breath. We were lucky. Sarah didn't speak, but her hand found Ray's and held it tight. For the first time, not out of fear, but out of trust. The tunnel was cold that night. Ray wrapped a thermal cloth around Sarah and her baby as best he could, but the chill still slipped through the cracks in the metal walls. The wind outside howled softly through broken vents like a ghost whispering secrets no one wanted to hear. Sarah sat against the wall, rocking little Cale gently in her arms. The baby had been quiet for too long. Too quiet. Ray noticed it first. No, soft whimpers, no movement, just stillness. He moved closer, crouched in front of her. Is he sleeping? He asked softly. Sarah looked down, her brow creasing. I think so, but her voice was uncertain. Ray leaned forward and gently placed 2 fingers on the baby's chest. No rise, no fall, nothing. His heart dropped. Sarah, he whispered, more serious now. Give him to me. Sarah's eyes widened. Why? Please, just trust me. Tears were already forming in her eyes, but she handed Cale over with shaking hands. Ray placed the baby on a folded cloth and checked again. No breath, no chest movement. His skin had gone pale. Too pale, even for his kind. He's not breathing, Ray said, trying to stay calm. Sarah let out a soft cry, covering her mouth. No, Cale, not now, please. Ray grabbed his med pack, tearing it open. Inside, a tiny oxygen patch. He had only one. He placed it over Cale's nose and pressed the switch. A soft hiss filled the air. He then started light, compressions with 2 fingers, pressing the baby's chest gently but firmly. 1, 2, 3. Sarah sobbed quietly, holding her knees to her chest. I waited too long. I should have gone sooner. No, Ray said sharply. This isn't your fault, he kept pressing. Over and over. Then Cale twitched. Ray paused. A soft, wet cough escaped the baby's lips. Then, finally, a breath. Sarah gasped and crawled closer. Cale? The baby made another weak sound. His chest moved up, then down. He was breathing. Not strong, but alive. Sarah fell forward, her hands trembling over the baby's body. She didn't touch him, afraid it might break the fragile moment. Ray pulled the oxygen patch back slightly. He needs warmth. Your skin. Now. Without a word, Sarah opened her blanket and held Cale close against her chest. Tears ran down her cheeks as she rocked him gently. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you. Ray sat back, wiping sweat from his brow. That was too close, he muttered. Much too close. The tunnel stayed silent except for Cale's, soft breathing and Sarah's whispered lullaby in her native tongue. Ray stayed awake for hours watching. The small glow light flickered on the wall. Dust danced in the air like stars. Later, Sarah looked up. In my culture, she said softly, a mother is punished if her child dies before naming. I would have lost the right to speak in my tribe. I would have been seen as cursed. Ray didn't answer right away. His mind was still with the baby, still replaying the moment he didn't breathe. You saved him, she said again. You gave him back to me. Ray finally looked at her. I did what any decent person should. Do? No, she said. Others saw us, heard me begging in the streets. They turned away. You didn't. He had no reply. Only silence. Sarah pulled Cale closer, then said quietly, I used to sing to him every night, even when we had nothing, just so he didn't feel alone. But last night I didn't sing. I was too tired. Maybe he thought I had given up. You didn't, Ray said gently. You're here, and you're still fighting. She smiled faintly. Only because you helped me remember how. Ray stood up. He paced a little, still shaken from what had just happened. We can't stay here long, he said. If another night passes like this, Cale might not survive. Sarah looked down. Where can we go? I know someone, Ray said. An old friend. Used to be a medic. Left the colony after the new laws were passed. Lives near the edge of the crater. If anyone can help Cale, it's him. Will he help an alien? Sarah asked. Ray gave a small smile. He owes me a favor, a big one. Sarah nodded. Then we go. But as Ray looked back at Cale, his small face against his mother's chest, his fingers twitching in sleep, he felt a shift inside. This wasn't just about helping anymore. This was his child now too, in a way. And no law, no patrol, no border wall was going to stop him from keeping them safe. The crater edge was dangerous at night. It was quiet. Too quiet. Ray led the way, holding a dim lantern in one hand and his stun tool in the other. Sarah followed close, her arms wrapped around baby Cale, his head resting gently against her shoulder. The baby was breathing now, but still weak. Every step they took was heavy with fear. You sure your friend lives out here? Sarah whispered. Ray nodded. He's a medic. Lives off-grid now. Doesn't like the patrols either. Will he turn us in? Ray didn't stop walking. He saved my life once, and I saved his. He won't forget that. They moved between the rocks and old satellite dishes. The night wind carried strange sounds, shifting metal, distant echoes, and the soft hum of scanning drones far above. After nearly an hour, they reached a half-buried bunker with a crooked antenna. Ray tapped the side in a strange pattern. Knock, 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 pause, knock. A few seconds later, the door opened, just a crack. A bearded human man peeked through. Ray, he said, are you insane coming here at this hour? Hi, Drin, Ray replied. I need your help. Drin's eyes shifted and landed on Sarah and the baby. His face changed. You brought an alien? He hissed. What are you thinking? You'll bring the whole patrol to my door. She has a baby. He nearly died yesterday. I had to bring them. Drin's face softened, but only slightly. If they find her here, I lose everything. Ray didn't flinch. If you turn them away, the baby dies. That's everything too. Drin groaned. He looked at Sarah, then at the sky. Finally, he opened the door wider. Quick, inside. They rushed in. The bunker smelled of medicine and metal. Shelves were lined with old scanners, tools, and dusty boxes. Lay him here, Drin said, pointing to a padded table. Sarah placed Cale down slowly. Drin scanned the baby with an old handheld device. Malnourished, weak lungs, close to oxygen, shock. You weren't lying. Ray crossed his arms. Can you fix him? Drin rolled his eyes. This isn't a machine, Ray, but yes. I'll try. He moved fast, mixing a nutrient vial, loading a micro-injector, placing a heat pad under the baby. Sarah watched, silent, afraid to speak. You care too much, Drin said quietly to Ray. This will get you in trouble one day. Ray replied, maybe. But I'd rather be in trouble than watch a baby die in the dirt. Drin glanced at him. Still the same fool, I see. After an hour of treatment, Kyle's color improved. His breathing was steady. Sarah cried again, this time with relief. He will live, Drin said. But not if you keep running. He needs rest, shelter, real food. Ray leaned against the wall. That's the problem, we can't go back. Patrols are scanning more and more. I've already broken the law. You've broken more than that, Drin muttered. Ray looked him in the eye. Then help me break one more. Drin raised a brow. I need fake IDs, Ray said. For both of them. A transport code. Something that gets them off this planet. Out of the colony zone. Drin blinked. That's not a favor. That's a crime. Ray stepped forward. I'll trade every part. I have every credit, my tools, just give her and the baby a chance. Sarah stood, shocked. Ray, you would give up everything? He looked at her, eyes calm. I've fixed broken machines my whole life. I think now, maybe I was waiting to fix something that mattered. Drin stared at him for a long moment. Finally, he sighed. I'll try, but it'll take a day or two. And if I'm caught, we all go down. Ray finished. I know. Sarah walked to Ray, holding his hand. Why? She whispered. Why do this for me? Ray's voice was quiet. Because when I saw you crying in the dust, I saw someone strong, someone who never stopped fighting. You didn't give up on your child. I won't give up on you. Outside, the scanners buzzed across the sky, searching, always searching. But inside that little bunker, a decision had been made. Ray had chosen the outlaw's road, not for gold, not for revenge, but for mercy, for love. And there was no turning. I'm back now. The sky was still dark when the sirens began to howl. Ray jerked awake, heart pounding. For a moment he didn't understand what was happening. Then he heard it, mechanical wings slicing the air above the crater. Patrol drones. Close. Too close. He scrambled to his feet. Across the bunker, Sarah held Cale close to her chest. The baby stirred but didn't cry. Ray, Sarah whispered, her voice shaking. They're coming. Drin stormed into the room, his face pale. They must have tracked the old comms line. We didn't disconnect fast enough. Ray looked at the screen. Multiple red dots were moving fast toward their location. We don't have time, Drin said. They'll breach the bunker in 5 minutes. Sarah's eyes filled with panic. We have to run. Ray shook his head. We won't outrun drones with a baby, we need a distraction. Drin threw him a data chip. I finished the IDs. That chip will mark them as colonists from Outpost K7. It'll hold for maybe a day. Or 2. Ray grabbed the chip and turned to Sarah. Take this. If I get caught, don't stop. Find a ship. Use the code. Get Cale to safety. Her lips trembled. No, not without you. You must, he said firmly. Promise me. She didn't answer at first. Then finally she nodded. I promise. Ray moved to the door and pulled down a metal lever. Hidden panels in the wall began to slide open, revealing a narrow, rusted escape tunnel. Drin pointed. That way leads to the ship. Graveyard. No patrols that far out, but it's dangerous, full of broken frames and collapsed metal. Better than dying here, Ray said. He helped Sarah lower herself and Cale into the tunnel. The baby whimpered but didn't cry. As she climbed down, she looked up at Ray. You're not coming? I'll slow them down, he said. Buy you time? No, Ray. He smiled just a little. Go. This time I don't want you to look back. The tunnel door slammed shut behind her. Ray turned to Drin. Lock the doors. Burn the logs. Erase every trace. Drin stared at him. You sure about this? Ray pulled out his stun blaster. I'm already dead if they catch me. But maybe I can still give her a chance. Outside, the ground shook. Searchlights pierced the sky. Then the blast came. The main door exploded inward and armored patrol units stormed inside. Their helmets glowed, weapons raised. Ray stood in the center of the room, hands slightly lifted. Where is the alien? The lead officer barked. Ray didn't flinch. She's gone. One of the patrols shoved him back against the wall. We have records. Her DNA traces are in this bunker. Then maybe you should have come sooner, Ray said with a smirk. The officer snarled. You helped an enemy of the colony. That's treason. She was a mother with a dying child, Ray snapped, and that's not an enemy, that's a victim. You don't make the rules. No, Ray said quietly, but maybe the rules are wrong. The officer raised his blaster. Ray stared, him down. But just before the shot came, another voice rang in through the patrol's comms. Sir, we lost her trail. She's gone into the wreck fields. Drones can't follow. The officer growled and turned back to Ray. Where is she going? Ray smiled faintly. Somewhere the law can't reach her. The patrol hit him hard with the back of his weapon. Ray fell to the ground, Drin stepped forward, shouting, "Enough! You have what you want! Arrest him and leave!" The officer glanced at Drin. "You're next, medic. We're watching." They dragged Ray out in cuffs. Blood dripped from his lip, but he didn't fight. Outside, the wind howled. Above them, the stars watched silently. And far away, in the shadows of broken ships, Sarah ran barefoot across sharp metal and ash, clutching her child, the fake ID chip hidden in her cloth. She didn't know if Ray was alive. She didn't know if she'd make it out. But she knew one thing. He stayed behind. So her baby could live. The sun rose slowly over the metal bones of the old ship graveyard. Sarah crouched behind a collapsed engine, her body aching, her feet bleeding. She clutched baby Kale close, the fake ID chip hidden inside the hem of her torn dress. The baby stirred, warm and breathing, still alive. That was all that mattered. She looked back once toward the distant colony wall, where smoke still curled from the place Ray had been taken. She didn't know if he was dead or locked away. Her chest burned with the thought of it. "I will not waste your sacrifice," she whispered. She tightened the wrap around Kale and kept moving. 3 days later, a buzz spread across the colony like fire. It started with a leak. Someone had stolen security footage from the patrol's raid. A short clip hit the black market network. It showed Ray standing tall before the guards, arms raised, refusing to give up the alien woman and her child. "I helped a mother," he said in the video. "You call that a crime?" The clip was only 30 seconds, but that was enough. People watched it in cafes, in factories, in mining halls. They paused, looked at each other, and wondered, had they turned away from something human? By evening, the footage had gone viral. In a refugee dock on the edge of a forgotten moonport, Sarah waited in line, dirty, thin, still holding Kale. Human worker checked IDs one by one. When Sarah stepped forward, she trembled. The worker scanned her chip. "Beep. Green light. Outpost K7, he read aloud. "Single mother. Baby. Approved." He glanced at her face, then looked again. "You look familiar." Sarah froze, but the man didn't stop her. Instead, he whispered, "I saw the clip. The mechanic. That was you?" She didn't answer. Her silence was enough. The man's eyes softened. He's a hero now. Even the high tower is talking about it. He handed her a ration card. "Get on the ship. May your child live free." Sarah bowed slightly, tears in her eyes. "Thank you." As she stepped onto the rusty starliner, Kale stirred in her arms. She kissed his forehead. "Your name means light," she whispered. "And he was your fire." Back in the colony prison, Ray sat in a cold, gray cell. No windows, only walls. He hadn't been beaten again, but they didn't need to. The silence was worse. No news, no trial, just waiting, until the day the door hissed open. 2 guards stepped aside. A third man walked in, clean suit, smooth voice. "You've become a problem," he said. Ray didn't move. "Then throw me out." "Like trash, isn't that the rule?" The man sat. "You made the people feel something, that's dangerous." Ray raised an eyebrow. "Compassion?" The man didn't smile. "Weakness." There was a long pause. Then he leaned forward. "But there's something else. Your friend, the alien mother. She vanished. Vanished too well." Ray said nothing. The man continued, "You helped her, you disobeyed, but now people are calling you brave. Some even call you decent." He stood up. "So here's the deal. We release you, quietly. No trial, no charges. But you disappear. No more speeches. No more aliens. No more rebellion." Ray looked up, eyes calm. "And if I say no?" The man shrugged. "Then we keep you here. Alone. Forever. Forgotten." Ray thought for a moment, then smirked. "You already said my story is everywhere. Even if I die here, it's too late. You lost." The man's jaw tightened. He turned and walked out. A month later, On a faraway moon, a small market glowed under blue lanterns. Sarah worked at a repair stall, her hands stained with oil, her face thinner but her smile stronger. Kale sat in a cloth sling on her back, babbling softly. A stranger came to her stand and asked, "Are you the widow from the video?" She froze, then nodded slowly. The stranger placed a fruit in front of her. "From one mother to another," she said. "You gave us all hope." Sarah's eyes filled with tears, but this time not from pain, from pride. Back on Earth, months later, a book was released. The Mechanic Who Defied the Law and Chose Mercy Instead, Ray's story, written by someone who found the truth and refused to let it be buried. The final page read, "He didn't see an alien. He saw a mother. And in saving her child, he reminded us all, what makes us humans is not where we're from, but who we choose to save."